And welcome back to Western New York Living. Now, the word accident by definition means an unfortunate incident that happens unexpectedly and unintentionally. So who plans for an accident? Nobody. Doesn't mean that you can't be prepared when one might happen. Joining us today from Cellino Law Firm is lawyer Stephen Ciocca to discuss the topic of accidents. And again, nobody plans for them, but they happen. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Stephen, what are some of the first things folks should do should they be involved in an automobile accident?
So the reality is that once an accident happens, once somebody crashes into you, you're going to be feeling a million different emotions. You're probably going to be really angry because somebody may have rear-ended you, gone through a stop sign, gone through a red light. You're suddenly confronted with maybe an airbag in your face. Maybe people in your vehicle are screaming and yelling. Maybe you yourself are feeling pain. So the reality is it's going to be difficult to just get your head straight, but then following that, it's really important the next steps that you take.
All right, so we're going to talk about the next steps, but I think first off, no two accidents are the same. At what level do we contact authorities? I mean, a fender bender versus a big accident, when do we start taking action?
So honestly, call the police. And the reason why I say that is because we see all the time when the police are not involved, accidents can sort of take on a different life. So for example, somebody goes through a red light, crashes into you, and then says, "Oh my God, I'm very sorry. It's my fault. I wasn't paying attention, or I was distracted by my kid in the back seat." And then next thing you know, if the police aren't called and the police don't document that, all of a sudden that person is now saying, "You went through the red light." And then you're going to be beside yourself because you're saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, what happened to that honest person at the scene that has suddenly become this different person?
If an accident's not your fault, do you still need to report it to your insurance company?
Absolutely. Okay. And you have an obligation pursuant to the terms of your policy to report an accident within a reasonable amount of time. And that's for a number of different reasons. Number one, you want to make sure you secure your no-fault benefits. And number two, you want to make sure that your insurance company can then do an adequate investigation and pay for any damages that you may be liable for, or collect any damages that the other party may be liable for.
So let's go back to what do I do once that accident occurred? I'm assuming get to somewhere safe, right?
Yeah, you want to make sure that you are safe, obviously. Okay. But then secondly, again, you want to think about, I always say, like, I even tell my kids, think about the 3 Ps. Police, pictures, people. And they say, what does that mean? It means you always want to contact the police, never assume somebody else contacted the police. You want adequate documentation. Pictures, you are able to take photographs, and you should take photographs at the scene because you will document where the vehicles were at the time of the collision, because oftentimes police are going to ask you to move the vehicles after that point. You'll be able to document the damages, license plate numbers, and then people, if there are individuals that come forward and say, hey, listen, I saw it happen, it's not your fault, this guy went through the stop sign, this guy went through the red light, you want to get that information. Don't assume that the police are going to take that information because accidents are very fluid, things are moving very quickly. Do it yourself. We all have cell phones on us, easy to take pictures, easy to take video, and easy to take people's information down. Their name, phone numbers. This way, if you need them in the future, you know how to reach them.
And Stephen, I love learning from your experience, but what are the common mistakes that drivers make after an accident?
What they make is they don't call the police. They do the old-fashioned, hey, let's just exchange information. You go your way, I go my way. And then that's when things go off the rails all the time. Sometimes people don't have insurance. Sometimes people aren't giving accurate information. And then sometimes, because it hasn't been documented, the wrong person gets blamed for causing the crash. So you have to look at it as though it's documentation, documentation, documentation.
And then at what point do we call a law office?
It's really important to call as soon as possible. What we can do is we can also conduct an investigation. In addition, meet with you. It's done free of charge. It's done on a contingency fee. We can make sure that all the proper paperwork is filed on time and make sure that all of your benefits are secured. That's super important.
Stephen, thank you for sharing some information today. It's great to see you.
Great to see you too.
Happy New Year.
You too.
The personal injury attorneys at Cellino Law represent injury victims throughout New York State. If you've been involved in any type of personal injury or automobile accident, then Cellino Law can help. Their offices are located at 800 Delaware Avenue in Buffalo. For more information, call them at 888-888-8888. It's a lot of eights. It's a lot of help for you. You can also visit their website at cellinolaw.com to learn more about all these services that they offer at Cellino Law.